The rain fell in heavy sheets that night as Detective Claire Monroe drove through the narrow, fog-covered road leading to the forgotten town of Ravensbrook. The storm had turned the sky into a dark sea of clouds, and her car's headlights barely pierced the mist. Ravensbrook had been silent for decades. Ever since the Great Fire of 1978 that consumed the old Ravensbrook Hotel and took 13 lives in one night, no one had dared go near it since until tonight. Claire had been called to investigate reports of lights flickering inside the ruins. As she stepped out of her car, the icy rain soaked her coat, and her boots splashed through puddles of black water. The hotel loomed before her on a hill, massive and broken, its windows shattered like dead eyes staring at her. The huge wooden doors hung half off their hinges, creaking with every gust of wind. Taking a deep breath, Claire raised her flashlight and pushed the door open. The air inside was heavy and stale, filled with the smell of smoke, mold, and time. The lobby stretched before her like the ribcage of a corpse wall scorched, wallpaper peeling, and the faint outline of chandeliers that once glowed with life. A dusty guest book still lay on the counter, its pages yellow and brittle. Claire flipped through it, expecting only names lost to history, but one line caught her breath. It was written in fresh, wet ink. Room 209. Please help us. The ink shimmered under her flashlight. Hello, she called into the darkness, her voice echoing back, distorted and low, as if the walls themselves were whispering it. From somewhere above came the faint sound of a woman humming, soft and eerie, like a lullaby played backward. Claire's pulse quickened as she climbed a grand staircase, every step groaning beneath her. The humming grew clearer, drawing her toward the far end of the corridor where room 209 waited. The brass number plate was half melted, the door blackened with soot, and small handprints were burned into the handle. Tiny, childlike prints, fingers splayed as though clawing to get out. She swallowed hard and pushed the door open. The room looked untouched, frozen in time. The bed was neatly made, the curtains hung still, and on the nightstand lay a photograph of a family, a man, a woman, and a little girl, smiling happily. But as she lifted it closer, she realized the little girl's eyes had been scratched out with something sharp. Her flashlight flickered once, then twice. The humming stopped, then a whisper came, quiet and chilling, from right behind her ear. You shouldn't have come here. Claire spun around, her flashlight beam slicing through the dark, but the room was empty. Then she noticed the mirror on the far wall. It wasn't reflecting her properly. In the reflection, she stood still, but her reflection's head was turned toward the bed. As she stared, her reflection began to smile, though she herself did not move. The glass rippled like water, and a voice, her own voice, distorted and layered, spoke from it. They're waiting downstairs. The bulb above her head exploded, plunging the room into darkness. Heart racing, she ran out into the hall. Smoke was seeping from cracks in the walls, and from somewhere below came the faint sound of a piano playing a slow, ghostly melody. Claire descended the stairs, every step echoing through the hollow building. The ballroom doors stood open, and inside, hundreds of candles burned on their own, their lights swaying like they were alive. The piano continued to play itself in the corner. In the middle of the room stood the same family from the photograph, pale and burned, their skin cracked like old porcelain. Their eyes glowed faintly red. The woman smiled, her voice carrying like wind through a tunnel. We lived here. We? Burn. Here we stayed. The child tilted her head, clutching a scorched teddy bear, and whispered, You opened the door. Now you can't leave. Before Claire could move, every candle in the room blew out at once. The piano stopped. Midnight. The darkness swallowed everything. A whisper slid across her neck like breath. Run. She bolted for the exit, stumbling through smoke and broken furniture. The floorboards cracked beneath her feet, and with a deafening snap, the floor gave way. She fell through the wood into the basement below, crashing hard on the cold ground. Groaning, she lifted her flashlight and froze. The walls were lined with burned photographs, their faces blackened, their eyes cut out. A row of metal nameplates was nailed to the far wall, each one engraved with a name, a date, and a cause of death. As she approached, her stomach turned cold. The last name read, Claire Monroe, 11:52 p.m. She checked her watch. It was 11:51. The humming returned, this time surrounding her. The voices of dozens of people began whispering from the darkness, overlapping, desperate, broken. Stay with us. Stay. Shadows began to move across the wall's faces without eyes, hands without bodies, reaching toward her. She backed away, trembling, but blackened arms burst from the ground, clawing at her legs, dragging her down. The little girl appeared again, standing just beyond the reach of a flashlight, her smile too wide for her face. Now you'll stay too, she whispered. Claire screamed as the darkness closed over her. When morning came, the rain had stopped, and 2 police officers arrived to investigate her disappearance. They found her car outside with the engine still running. Inside the hotel, the air was cold and silent. On the reception desk lay the guest book, still open. Officer Daniels brushed off the dust and read the last entry. The ink was still wet. It said, Claire Monroe, room 209. They exchanged uneasy looks. As they turned to leave, the faint sound of a woman humming drifted down from upstairs. It was the same soft lullaby. That night, back at the police station, Officer Mayfield sat writing her report under the flickering fluorescent light. Her radio crackled with static. Then a voice came through, broken and weak, but unmistakable. It was Clary's voice whispering, Please help us. Room 209. The lights went out. The static grew louder, and somewhere deep in the wires of the building, the same faint humming began again. And that was how Ravensbrook woke once more, feeding on the ones who dared to listen. The end.